Hi, thanks for checking out this week's video. My name's Rudolph and I'm an expat living in Finland. In this video, I want to talk about identity. The way I just started this video, I said I'm an expat living in Finland, and I noticed that I normally don't introduce myself in videos. And 2 weeks ago, I did a video and that's how I started off, by saying I'm an expat living in Finland. And I didn't think too much about it at the time, but when I watched it back, I thought about it and I thought, why did I introduce myself as that way? Now, I feel I have kind of a complicated history with identity. I'm born in Jamaica, grew up in the US, and lived in the UK for a very long time. So I kind of feel like I don't really belong anywhere. I don't feel truly Jamaican because I left when I was young, but because I was an immigrant into the US, I never really felt like I really belonged there either. And I was an adult when I moved to the UK, so there was no way I was really going to feel like like a true Brit. So given all of that, I guess it's not so surprising that I'm kind of wondering where I fit into Finnish society and my identity. But for me, what was mainly curious about it was that I called myself an expat as opposed to an immigrant. And because in my mind, I feel like an expat is like a visitor. Prior to Finland, I was living in the Middle East, in Oman. And the way that culture is that I definitely identified as an expat. And I feel like I would have been seen by everyone there as an expat, because unless you are born and raised there, primarily, you're always an outsider. And in my mind, an expat is someone who's kind of passing through. You're here in this country legally, but you're not there permanently. You've got one foot out the door. You're kind of, on one hand, maybe you're there for now, but as soon as something better comes along, off you go. And to me, that's surprising because that's not how I had seen myself in Finland. When I moved to Finland, I had made the decision that this was it. This is my final stop. I'm not moving again. So from that perspective, I should probably consider myself an immigrant to Finland, because I'm here, I'm settled, and I'm not leaving unless the Finnish government kicks me out, because I don't have permanent residency yet. So let's see what happens in a couple years when I need to get that sorted out. So, it got me thinking, how and why do I consider myself an expat as opposed to an immigrant? How and why do I kind of feel like I've got one foot in, one foot out? And I think part of it is there's a lot of talk in the news these days about the Finnish government crackdown on immigration. Maybe it's probably not being said in those exact terms, but as an immigrant, that's kind of how it feels. It feels like the government is trying to make it more difficult for people to settle in the country. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. I kind of feel like everyone is looking out for their own interests. And immigration is something that people are quick to jump on if they feel that, things are not going as well as they should. If you look at the politics in the US, there's a very us and them, anti-immigration type of sentiment going, which is funny since, the US is a country of immigrants. I lived in Britain during the whole Brexit vote. And I would say immigration was the reason for the Brexit vote. If it wasn't for that, the referendum would have never been had. So I completely get it. And I know it's very emotive and I know it's important to people. And that happens all around the world. So, I don't think it's anything inherently bad. But I guess it feels like in the UK there was kind of like this saying or this feature where they were trying to create a hostile environment for illegal immigrants. And I almost feel like that's what's happening maybe now in Finland, where they're almost trying to create a hostile environment for legal immigrants. so that, it's more difficult to get citizenship. And if you lose your job, you have between 3 and 6 months, depending on the type of work you do, to leave, to either find a job or you'll be deported. Which, it sounds great for anyone who has lived somewhere their entire life. But, usually if you decide to pick up and move to another country, something I've done now, this is my 4th time, that's no small feat. And to tell people that, after 3 months, that's it, you've got to go, it's not, it really does feel quite hostile and unwelcoming. And so, I don't know if it's really going to achieve what the government is trying to achieve. I can understand that Finnish people feel that, immigrants are a drain on society. I can understand if you feel that you're working and you're seeing people who are getting benefits who haven't paid into the system, that, you feel that that's unfair and you'd like to see a reduction. Fair enough. But then at the same time, people will come in, but if people don't feel that confident, then I feel like the feeling of being an expat as opposed to being an immigrant will be stronger. And people will be, they might be here for the time being, but if a better offer comes along, they're going to take that offer because there's a feeling that the country is not really committed to you as the immigrant, because if you find yourself without a job for 3 months, you could be kicked out. So you feel if the country isn't committed to you, why should you commit to the country? That's kind of my take on how I think this could backfire. And to me, what that would mean is that the people with the best skills who've got the most to offer, they're going to get poached by other countries. And the people that will stay are the people that have no choice. So the best people will go, which are the people you want to keep, and the people that, don't have any competing offers will stay. So it's almost counterintuitive. But, I guess we'll have to see how things work out. In my case, I haven't lived in the US in almost 20 years. And I honestly never thought about ever moving back there. But recently, I've been spending more and more time there, and I'm actually finding that I like it more than I had imagined or I had remembered. So, now I'm thinking there is a possibility I could go back to the US. It wasn't really on the cards. I wasn't really thinking about it or planning on it. But, just this whole idea of feeling unwelcome in my new country just gets me thinking, if people are thinking, you immigrants need to go back to where you came from, I'm keeping that now in the back of my mind. So we'll have to see where my mindset ends up. At the moment, I'm trying to think about it as, no, I'm actually not an expat. I'm an immigrant. I have moved and I have settled and I'm staying here, and I have no plans of going anywhere. So hopefully that feeling remains, and this kind of talk about immigrants go home kind of dies down. It's a bit unfortunate because I think a lot of businesses are not happy with the government's plans. But from what I have been reading in the news, the government's pushing ahead with its plans anyway, and not really taking any notice of what the business leaders have to say about it. So I guess we'll just have to sit back, see what happens, and make decisions based on that. But for the time being, I'm happy here. I was just out. I actually went to the dentist this morning, and I just love my dentist. I think he is fantastic. And who actually says that they love their dentist? But, the whole experience, whenever I go, he's just so nice, explains things so well. As I was coming home, I was thinking, the healthcare here, I don't care what anyone says, I think is amazing. And I've had such good experiences. And when I have these kind of encounters and I think, wow, the public servants here are really, really good. And I really, that kind of experience makes me say, yeah, this was a great choice. I'm home, I'm in Finland, I'm not going anywhere. So hopefully I can hold on to these feelings and stay put. So I just wanted to give my take on the new immigration discussions going on in Finland. I feel welcome here. I hope I can stay here. And hopefully the government won't do things that will drive away good people and will come to a sensible conclusion as to how to adopt policies that are fair for everyone, fair for the immigrants, and then also fair for the local population. So thanks for listening to this week's video. Tell me down below in the comments if you have any thoughts on this issue, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.